Okay.
That's all I need.
Yeah, there's nothing, there's like
Please.
two
Pretty
things.
please.
Thank you. Hi, Chris.
How you guys doing? Good. I see you come in. I wanted to say hi. Just throw a rock at me or something.
Please do.
She'll be happy.
I'll take it a rock.
It's really by itself.
Well, I'm glad somebody didn't do one in prison. That's fine. What if Dad comes in? That's okay. It's time for a second breath. My taxes are due today.
Yeah. Thank you, Dad. Chasing vehicle.
Yeah, I put that there for you. You can do the other one out.
Thank you.
Seriously?
I don't know if it was just me, I mean, this room was held for many meetings here. Or what the heck, I'll take the blame. I've got it tough too.
This is over your hands, will go too way off.
Listen, I don't know if it was winter because the hands dry out.
Well, they already dry out.
Yeah.
I just saw you.
I'll go.
He
calls you
They're being mad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask you to please rise for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we gather today and ask your continued guidance and wisdom in our decisions for the people we serve. May we always seek you in our decisions. we know that you are always with us. Lord, we draw near to 9/11. Let's never forget that day. We did not focus on a person's nationality, wealth, sex, or religion. We focused on humanity, love, and people in need. The ones that ran into buildings and others that assisted others to escape. The true heart of a nation and humanity was revealed in its open hearts. Let this be an example to remind us of the beauty and value of life. Instead of elevating differences and division to spread hatred, let us heal in unity and love for each other this day. May we continue to help each other as we did back on that day 19 years ago. We are Americans under one God that has blessed this great land. We thank you for your unending love. These things we humbly pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Convene the Commissioners' public meeting at this time. Ask for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll move. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Public comment on agenda items only at this time. Okay, hearing none.
Move to informational items. 2.1, my tune.
Morning, Maya.
Morning, Commissioners. This is just, it's very informative, but just to note that we typically don't do this, but because of the grant funding and COVID, we're going to be revising the purchasing manual to accommodate for the COVID care funding and how we do our purchasing and make sure that it relates to all purchases in accordance with the grant guidelines.
Okay.
And then Maya has 2.2.
Yes, after we went out to bid for the reference bid for the replacement stow apron pan belt conveyor system at the transfer station, we noticed that additional scope of work had to occur. So what we're doing is withdrawing bids, and then at a later time, once we work with the engineer on the design, we'll put it back out to bid.
Okay, great. Thank you.
2.3, we're acknowledging the Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and I believe Commissioner Musser has the proclamation for that, and Krista Rogers is going to accept the proclamation.
Morning, Krista.
Morning. I have to send a special thank you from Olivia, who desperately wanted to be here but couldn't be, for you guys taking the time to acknowledge September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And I'd also like to introduce Eric and Bromwyn Keener, who we have known through her mother actually since Liv was 4, and they were supportive in our journey, and now Bromwyn is fighting B-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So thanks for coming. Each year in the United States, there are an estimated 15,780 children between the ages of birth and 19 years of age who are diagnosed with cancer. Approximately 1 in 285 children in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer before their 20th birthday. Globally, there are more than 300,000 children diagnosed with cancer each year. Every 3 minutes, somewhere in the world, a family hears the devastating words that their child has been diagnosed with cancer. While survival rates for many types of childhood cancer have improved, for too many children, cancer will shorten their lives too soon. Cancer remains the most common cause of death by disease for children in America. From Olivia's date of diagnosis on August 3, 2017 with T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia to the end of her treatment on November 28, 2019, Olivia faced 22 spinal taps, 2 bone marrow aspirations, 19 blood transfusions, 847 days in treatment, which included monthly steroids, oral chemotherapy, intravenous chemotherapy, 21 days of cranial radiation treatment, multiple hospital stays, 1 ambulance trip from Hershey to Danville when her platelets were under 1,000. Normal platelets are 150,000 to 400,000. Placement and removal of a PICC line at the start of treatment for delivery of chemotherapy drugs and other medications, then placement and removal of a Mediport in her chest for the same purpose. And she had an easy journey. 20 Cancer Things Mom Knows by Heart by Jessica Benston. Once a cancer mom, always a cancer mom, and this should really say parent, but it was written by a cancer mom. It is the most unnatural thing in the world to be told your child has cancer. There's nothing you can do or say to take it away from them. There's no fixing it. Babies can be born with cancer. Toddlers can lie on the floor and throw a tantrum while having cancer. Little leaguers will miss their games because of cancer. Teenagers can go straight from the hospital to high school graduation, then right back to the hospital. Children can often handle higher doses of chemo than adults. Kids can play hide and seek, chase each other in toy cars, and build an epic Play-Doh creation, all while toting an IV pole with chemo. Treatment straight up sucks. I can feel a fever without even touching my child. There's such a thing as radioactive urine. Sleeping in a hospital bed with a sick child teaches you interesting life skills like the ability to wake from a sound sleep, grab a bucket, and catch vomit. Some kids can have the opposite reactions to medications, like for instance, something that makes an adult sleepy might amp up a child. Having a toddler stuck on fast forward will make you bone weary. The first scar is always the worst. Taking that beautiful soft baby skin and seeing it cut open is like ripping your heart out. You realize nothing is as important anymore as getting your child well. A mother's love knows no bounds, not even being puked on directly in the face. You'll never forget the smooth, sticky feeling of a bald head against your cheek. Every ache and pain, no matter how long your child's been in remission, will remind you that cancer can come back. Statistics don't mean a damn thing when it comes to your child. Kids never give up, and neither do their parents. And this is a poem called The Warrior by Tara Phillips, a 14-year-old cancer survivor. Gazing in the mirror, I see a warrior's face, fully clothed in armor, no fear and no disgrace. A tear it never offers, a smile it always gives. No sadness does it show, but what a life it lives. Needles going in and blood is taken out, but still no signs of pain, no cries to make you doubt. Each day you see this person and you think they are so brave. Each day you see us laughing, our tears are ours to save. So when you see our armor and think we're calm and mild, remember that this one thing, the warrior is a child. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Awaken your awareness. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. Would you please repeat the two in the back?
Yeah.
Eric and Bronwyn Keener.
Keener.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And spell your first name.
B-R-O-M-W-Y-N.
W-Y-N.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we have a little proclamation here, and since you went through a number of them, I'll just read one of the whereases. Is increased awareness of child cancer promotes cancer screenings for early detection, greatly increasing the child's chances of survival. It also promotes funding for medical programs and foundations that assist children affected by cancer. We're going to add that it is positive out there today with all the cancer research. They have made great strides in reducing the deaths. Not always easy for families. I'm well aware of that. I saw what happened with you and your family, and very difficult. So now, therefore, the Commissioners of Lycoming County hereby proclaim the month of September 2020 Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Lycoming County, and encourage the community to both spread awareness of childhood cancer and support families affected throughout the county. In witness thereof, we have set our hand and seal on this 10th day of September 2020. Signed by Chairman Metzger, Vice Chairman Masser, and Secretary Mayor Vigo.
Krista, I want to thank you for sharing what you and your family went through, because I think that what it does is it brings home for us in a way that's very different than simply hearing that a child has cancer. And to be honest with you, even though I've talked to you a couple of times, I didn't know the extent to which your daughter was going through, and quite frankly, the pressure it puts on you and your husband and obviously your child. So I really want to thank you for sharing that with us. I think what it does is it opens up our eyes in a way that the statistics, it brings it home to us. And we wish her well, and we wish you both well, and thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. And we'll certainly do what we can do to try to make sure that other families are also assisted during these times, and what we can do to bring awareness to this.
Our children are treasures from God, and there's nothing more important than your kid. And like you said, your words were beautiful. You couldn't put any better. What you've experienced, what parents experience, a mother's love is unending. Parents' love will do anything for their kids. And this is a horrible, horrible disease. And with research, hopefully, we'll wipe it out. Because we want to see our kids healthy, we want to see them play, and you have one childhood, you want it to be special for each kid. You know, so thank you so much for your words. They're deep, and what you've experienced and what a parent experiences. No parent wants to live that nightmare. No parent. So thank you.
Can we take a picture?
Yeah, why not?
And you know what? We have a resolution that we're going to get Eric and Bronwyn, and we're going to get another
Oh,
one
they
made
can
for
have
you.
this one
Well, we're
today.
going to get one made for you to
Thank
take
you.
to your daughter,
Thank you.
okay?
Yeah.
And we'll also try to put one out in the hall, but we will give this one now.
Yeah.
And we'll get one. I'm not going to shake your hand because I don't want to. But I'll bump you out. How's that? Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
Who would like to see this?
We're going to do this, and then we're going to get another one. And maybe we can all get our photo here.
You want to stand next to me? He wanted to stand next to me.
Ready?
Masks are on.
Smile.
Yeah. You could tell the eyes.
With your eyes.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Eight.
Boy, what do you go to? School?
Southwest work.
Thanks for coming today. It means a lot to us that you came.
Absolutely. You're our hero.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Goodbye, Harry.
I'll see you later, I've got to run. Robin, we'll see you later, dear.
I know, I appreciate it. I just wanted to. Thank you.
The next proclamation we have is Krista Rogers again is going to accept acknowledging National Payroll Week.
I'm going to read this, okay?
Sure.
Okay. Proclamation, National Payroll Week. And we see we have some folks here, right?
They're all here that are not on vacation.
Okay, well, you can introduce them. Whereas the American Payroll Association and its more than 20,000 members have launched a nationwide public awareness campaign that pays tribute to the nearly 150 million people who work in the United States and the payroll professionals who support the American system by paying wages, reporting worker earnings, and withholding federal employment taxes. And whereas payroll professionals in Lycoming County, Pennsylvania, play a key role in maintaining the economic health of Lycoming County, carrying out such diverse tasks as paying into the unemployment insurance system, providing information for child support enforcement, and carrying out tax withholding, reporting, and depositing. And whereas payroll departments collectively spend more than $2.4 trillion annually complying with myriad federal and state wage and tax laws, and whereas payroll professionals play an increasingly important role in ensuring the economic security of American families by helping to identify non-custodial parents and making sure they comply with their child support mandates. And whereas payroll professionals have become increasingly proactive in educating both the business community and the public at large about the payroll tax withholding systems. And whereas payroll professionals meet regularly with federal and state tax officials to discuss both improving compliance with government procedures and how compliance can be achieved at less cost to both government and businesses. And whereas the week in which Labor Day falls has been proclaimed National Payroll Week, we hereby give additional support to the efforts of the people who work in the County of Lycoming and of the payroll profession by proclaiming the first full week of September Payroll Week for Lycoming County, Pennsylvania. Signed, Lycoming County Commissioners, Scott L. Metzger, Chairman, Tony Armacera, Vice Chairman, Richard Maravito, Secretary.
Thank you. Krista?
In the past 15 months, Lycoming County Payroll has seen many changes. The heart of payroll is Cindy Gira. The machine of payroll is Nikki
Oh.
Gottschall. And I'm old, what do you want? And none of it could happen, especially fixing problems, without Chris Dalla Piazza. The past 15 months have seen a department change for the payroll function, a pandemic, and Cindy carrying the weight of payroll alone for the past 5 months in a pandemic, as well as the rollout of electronic timesheets headed by Chris and supported by Cindy and Nikki and all the employees that have come on board. We only have 2 areas left, and electronic timesheets will be throughout the entire county. So I wanted to make sure and acknowledge the people that are neck deep in it most weeks. Thank you all. And Sherry Hook and Heather Lehman are also here from the Controller's Office.
Okay, thank you. And it's only fitting that it's this week, Labor Day week. You know, we celebrate Almighty, the great American labor, and how they've built this country and into the magnificent land we have. And they go to work to earn a wage, and they like to be paid. And these are the folks that make that get done.
Absolutely.
And so we thank you for your service to the county. It's not an easy job. A lot of numbers, and Chris, thank you for your end on the computer end. You all make it happen electronically, and glad to see we're moving into the next era, away from manual time cards, and it's not an easy task. So we thank you, each one of you, for what you do.
And I know the director's been a big advocate of moving us into electronic time cards, and it's finally happening. So,
Yeah, you guys already decided to go with tablets for the budget process.
Yeah.
right.
Times are changing.
Times are changing.
Absolutely.
But thank you, and thank you also to all the people in the community who are involved in payroll too. I was struck by the number that we spend complying with all the state and local and federal regulations. So to all those folks in our community who do that, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Here, Krista.
Krista?
Krista, do you want to take this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we have 2 action items. So 3.1 is my attune, voting on emergency procurement resolution 2020-27.
I guess just real quick before she leaves, I just wanted to let her know that I'm a cancer survivor as well, 34 years.
Krista, did you hear this?
No, the-
What?
And
I
the
just
young
wanted, before
girl.
she left, I wanted to say I had the exact same thing you did, honey, 34 years ago, and here I am today, so.
Oh, great.
I always get emotional when I talk about it, but.
Understandably. Yeah.
Okay, with that said, sorry. Just saying that brings back a lot of memories, good and bad. When you get to be a professional,
Maya, could you take your...
Sure.
Thank you.
when you get to be a professional, where you're at today, you have a family, have 2 beautiful kids, didn't even know if I could have that. I've just been blessed in so many ways in my life, and seeing this little girl, I have no doubt that she'll do the same.
Yep.
So, thank you for letting me share that.
Yep, thank you for
She's
sharing
asked me
that.
several times to do it, and I always tell her, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna cry, but you know what, sometimes it's good, because you need to get that hope out there, and I think we just talk so much on the negative side of
Yeah.
things, and just as a world in general, and I think, if anything, we need to be talking positive, especially now more than ever, so.
Yep. Living in inspiration.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. The item that I have is to vote on emergency procurement resolution. This is what we briefly discussed on Tuesday. Unfortunately, we didn't have all the details worked out. We were still waiting on pricing. But what we are requesting is to do emergency procurement for 4 command posts for DPS and as well as a portable shower trailer. The 4 command posts would be $154,960 and the portable shower trailer would be $39,845. The reason for this purchase is that in the event of a COVID-19 outbreak at the primary 911 center, they would have to go to the backup 911 center. Well, unfortunately, the backup 911 center is not equipped fully with all the equipment and technicality that they need to operate efficiently. So we want to buy the command post for there, and then as well, if they were to have an outbreak, they would have to quarantine and still maintain their the job duties. So to do that, we would like to have a portable shower. So those are the 2 needs, and unfortunately, due to the time frame and the urgency of these items, we cannot go through the normal bid process, and it exceeds the bid threshold amount.
Okay.
Now, these are both going to be covered, we think, by the CARES funds,
Correct. We are
right? So
gonna-
the 10.2 million that we're getting from the federal government, these qualify, and these will be paid for from those funds.
That's correct.
We have to get them ordered in place and in use by the time so they qualify.
Hence why this is kind of emergency
Yeah.
resolutions coming about. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve resolution 2020-27.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, so carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And 3.2, Krista Rogers, this is the ADEC discussion.
Krista,
Yes, sir.
take your time.
Do you want me to read what I read before when we brought this up?
Yeah, please.
Okay. For 2019, the county was short $400,000 in contributing to the budgeted actuarial estimate contribution of $1,808,922. This is to the retirement fund. For 2020 to date, nothing has been contributed to the ADEC, which is the actuarial determined estimated contribution of $1,945,444. This is the adjusted figure that includes updated mortality tables that the retirement board voted to approve in August. The budgeted estimated 2020 contribution was $1,999,996. To fully contribute the 2020 contribution by 12/31, paying in monthly, the commissioners need to authorize either a one-time payment of the full amount or a 4-time monthly payment of $486,361.
What are the two, the first one, 1,945,444?
That is the adjusted amount after we voted to change the mortality tables
Okay,
in August.
yeah.
And the other figure was what was budgeted and estimated last fall.
So actually, the figure we're looking at is a 1945.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this was decided last fall.
That, the
Yeah.
higher figure was budgeted for last fall.
Last fall, okay.
Yes. It was adjusted then after the final numbers came in and we talked about adjusting the mortality tables used for calculation by the actuary.
Thank you.
You don't happen to know, this looks like a big number. When you take the number and you divide it among the number of people who were affected and the number of actual hours worked.
I have
full-
never done that.
You've never done that, okay. So, well.
It
if-
is low.
Yeah, if you take this number and you divide it, essentially, we have a pension plan here, and our employees contribute to it. By law, they contribute to it at a rate of at least 8%, and some contribute higher. And the employer, for many years, meaning the county, did not contribute from the time it was in effect until about 2005.
I think it was.
Yeah, 2005.
As a result of various factors, including getting an older workforce, including downturns in the market during the early 2000s and so forth, the employer was advised to contribute to it by the actuary. And as a result of doing that, the pension fund has been maintaining a very good.
Above 80% funded status.
Above, yeah, it's above 90%.
It is now. In that entire
Oh, in
time,
that
the
entire-
lowest it dropped was just above 80%.
Okay.
Right now it's 95%?
Correct.
Yep.
And so one way that I look at this is that, okay, you know, an employer says, okay, you come to work for us, and the quid pro quo is that we're going to try to give something towards your retirement, towards when you leave here. So that if, you know, especially if you've been here like 35 years, that we've given something so that when you retire, you can retire with a certain level of dignity and so forth. And so the reason I said if you take that figure and you divide it by the number of hours, a full-time employee is 2,040 hours. Now we have some who are slightly less in 1975, 1,975, because they're on a shorter work week. But if you take that number and you divide it by all those hours, I think it works out to be like $1.30 an hour.
But you also have to consider that the funding of the retirement fund doesn't just support the current employees, it supports the retired employees as well. So if you divided it by that number, it'd give you a better picture too of the value per person involved in the retirement fund.
So anyway, I guess what I'm suggesting is that it's a big number because we have not done anything all year long with it, which I think, and I hope maybe we can try to change in the next year.
We did vote to change that starting in January.
Oh, that's right, we did. Yeah.
I'll just
Monthly.
remind you of that.
Right, to make monthly contributions to catch the cycle and so forth. But in any event, I think that we should just take, you know, do what we budgeted for and make the payment. And I would make a motion to, but if you don't want a motion made, we can have discussion.
Discuss it.
Oh, well, no, we absolutely need to discuss
You
it.
can make a motion.
I was only gonna make a motion to get it on the floor for discussion, but I'm happy to hold the motion.
Then you'd have to vote.
Well, not necessarily, you could have, okay, well, we can, let's have discussion.
Yeah. You making a motion?
Well, I'll hold the motion, because
Okay.
I think my colleague wants to make a few
Okay,
comments.
Go ahead.
And I have no issue with funding pension, and I know, you know, it is a big number. But we have no certainty as to what monies we're going to receive from the state, federal government. There are a number of things that I've advocated since I've been here for 9 years, okay? And I'm not one that believes in the defined benefit package for public sector versus none for the private, okay? But that being said, it is our obligation. And we're at 95% funding. My biggest concern, and other than the current situation with the COVID and not knowing where our funds are going to be coming from, if we even receive, you know, those funds this coming budget year, is cash flow. You know, we're having serious discussions right now as to how are we going to deal with this. You know, we could see a projection of $6 million short. That's a lot of money. And is it wise of us to contribute the full almost $2 million this year to that fund? I would say not, because we're going to be looking for low-hanging fruit. I do not believe it will affect our pension whatsoever by putting half in, as long as we put something towards it. But I do want to caution all these healthy pension funds, especially in the public sector, that as the state continues not to fund that big number, I'll guarantee you they'll come after the healthy ones and combine them.
I will fight that till my last breath.
Oh,
Just to put it
well,
out there.
we should.
Yes.
And we should. But that's something that the public should know.
I don't disagree.
So there's a lot of issues with pensions, and especially the defined benefit package with government employees that has not been funded. Look at what they're asking for in the stimulus. The majority of that stimulus money is going to pay for the unfunded pensions that they refuse to fund. Is that right? I don't know, you know,
And we're talking state level.
state level. Regardless, it's a defined benefit. So here we are giving out $2 million a year, and there they are giving nothing, and they're gonna be supported.
But we can only take care of what we
No,
have control over.
I understand that.
And by not contributing at all, and I know that's not what you're
No.
saying, it just kicks the can of that liability down the road, because the liability is not going anywhere until the law's changed.
And anyone can say, and I say this all the time in retirement, you know, the volatility of the stock market is just, you know, a quote away. And
But our fund has been in the top 1% of
It
similar
has.
funds in the United States for
Yes.
multiple years.
yeah.
So we are doing a good job as a retirement board with who we have hired and who we have in place and the asset allocation that we've taken the time to do.
So I would entertain a motion, or maybe it's something that we should discuss a little bit further as to the total amount, or if you guys wanna talk about it now, or.
I'd be willing to move to say, look, it's September 10th. We could move to put in, some, you know, a good chunk of this now, and then towards later in the year, another good chunk. Last year we did hold back $400,000. So the problem is, if you get into a habit of holding back too much, then you're running against the actuary, because the actuaries, see, in any one year it might look healthy, and that's why you hire an actuary, because the actuary looks out over 30 years, looks out the age of all your retirees, the age of your current workforce, the amount they contribute, what we expect the market to do. And that's why we can't be fooled. It's sort of like trying to time the market if you try to time the actuary.
Well, what I didn't appreciate was the fact that I brought up the fact that, especially with the mortality rate, you know, the labor and industry reports came out in 2019, and the mortality rate dropped. It was below the age of 80. And then somehow our mortality in our industry increased another year and a half, which cost us to have to add more money to the ADAC.
It did.
I mean,
However, we're using a mortality table that matches who we are. We're not taking a national average that takes much more into consideration than what we have here. So our mortality table went up, but it matches who we are.
Matches the government worker, because.
And that's a fiscally sound
Right.
decision, even though
Right.
using the national mortality table would have saved us money. I agree.
Right.
But
But
in
there
the
was
long
also-
run, it wouldn't.
Yeah, but there was also occupations on there, such as school teachers, who live the longest.
Mhm.
And if we would have had that figured into it, it would have driven it even higher.
Correct.
So it was, and I'll add to your point, I will fight with you till the end, because this is county money, this is employees' money that range anywhere from 8% of their paychecks up to 18% of their paychecks. It's not the state money.
No.
So, because they poorly managed their pension plan, isn't an excuse to go after counties for their pension plans.
Yep.
And you hit it right on the nose. Our actuary is in the top 1% of the nation. They have done an outstanding job, where our fund is very sound, very, very sound.
Yep.
And for us to be at 95% is a credit to them, and for our former boards of commissioners and the current board that have sat down and worked with that actuary and
Well,
listened
that's
and
our
listened to them.
investment manager and
Yeah.
an investment consultant.
Yeah, I meant the investment consultant.
Yes,
I mean, he's outstanding. He's done a fantastic job for the county,
correct.
you know.
by the way, and I've talked about this before, but it's actually fascinating. So Boston College has an Institute of Security, a program where they look at retirement programs and so forth. And studies that they've done have shown that people who have defined benefit pensions have less poverty in their senior years and actually require less transfer of public monies. You know, we are constantly transferring public money to help out the most needy among us, whether it's money we give to the food bank or whether it's money we give to the supportive housing programs, all sorts of things. And so even though there's a lot of controversy about defined benefit plans, at the end of the day, they allow seniors to take care of themselves so that our retirees are not collecting LIHEAP. They're not collecting, food from the food bank, right? But here's the flip side. What they are doing is they're calling up a store and saying, I'd like to put new carpet in my living room. They're calling up a plumber and saying, I want to redo the bathroom. Not extravagantly. But my point is they put a huge amount of money. If you look in the rural counties in Pennsylvania, the amount of money in the economies that comes from retirees is huge. It's huge. And quite frankly, with the manufacturing base and with all the other jobs leaving, to a certain extent, thank goodness that our retirees do stay here, and especially the ones who are able. So I just as a plug to maybe that defined benefit pensions are not as bad as they've been made out to seem. I mean, it depends. An employer of 10 or 15 people is not going to be able to sustain a defined benefit plan. But larger employers, and especially, very large private employers could do it. It's really shifting the responsibility. Do we have people take care of their old age while they're working, or do we end up letting them be age 70 and trying to survive on $900 a month? And we know there are many, many seniors in that situation, and they tend to be women, and it's a tragedy, quite frankly. It's so anyway, I'm willing to, if there's a motion, if someone wants to make a motion, and we deal part of this today and then deal with some of it later, I'd be happy to move to put funding of 50% into it now, or round it off at an even $1 million now. And I don't do this flippantly, but we've budgeted this money. I don't want the public to think we're doing this flippantly. It's not. It's that we've budgeted and we just have gone for 9 months without taking responsibility to act on it. And so I would move to budget to make the payment of $1 million now towards the ADEC and then revisit the conversation.
I'll second that.
So, go ahead.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
So
Okay.
$1 million now and bring it back to you monthly through the end of the year?
Bring it back to us in November.
Okay.
For the balance.
Yep.
The balance being $945,444.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners' comment?
Last weekend, there were some pictures from the Sun Gazette that were taken of the West End Recycling Center, where people or a person had dumped their garbage, and it was atrocious. This isn't the first time this has happened. There's 5 signs up there plus a camera. I had posted something on social media that this was unacceptable, and within the last 2 days they did it again. So I've talked to the city administration, a few of them, and told them that this is unacceptable. There will be additional cameras placed up there, and the individual or people that are doing this, they will be prosecuted. Their names will be printed in the paper with a story, and everybody in this county will see that the hogs that they are will be made known. Our recycling centers are exactly what it is. It's recycling centers. It's not for mattresses to be shoved into the bins. It's not for kiddie pools or deflated pools that have tears in them to be shoved into the bins. It's for the recyclable materials, and everybody knows what they are. It's not for the city to clean up or for the county to clean up their messes. The city, once a week, piles that garbage there, and they are paying to have it hauled away. So that's city taxpayer dollars being utilized to haul someone else's garbage away. As a city leader, I'd be infuriated by that. As a county leader, I am extremely upset at it. That's not what our county represents. We want our county to be beautified, glorious, and a place where people want to live. Not to be driving by piles of garbage left along the side of the road or by a recycling bin, because people don't want to hire a garbage man to hire their own garbage and have it or have their own garbage hauled away. So they will be caught, and it's not just West End. There's other sites where people are doing this. And when they are caught, we will make sure they are put on social media and in the newspaper, their names, so they can be embarrassed. It's unexcusable.
And they're going to ruin a good thing. I do have one thing. A couple days ago, the governor came out with another order asking the restaurants and bar and taverns to sign a contract, is what I would call it, so that they could get their 50% occupancy. And if they signed that contract, then they would not be able to sell any alcohol at after 10 p.m. I don't know the power that this governor has, but it certainly, he is not taking into consideration the risk that business owners, take. I'll just give you a couple examples. I know of one owner that has invested over $400,000 in the last year, and it will put him out of business. And this is to take effect September 21st. This will put him out of business. They worked their life, they invested money, and this governor doesn't care. Doesn't matter. You will comply. Now, we haven't heard, and I hope this is the case, that if they do not sign the contract, then they can, they can't go to 50% occupancy, but at least they can sell beer or alcoholic beverages and soda and whatever, to accommodate their strategies. Another owner just put up a $350,000 addition. Where is he going to pay for this if he's not allowed to sell alcohol? For anybody that's out there, there is a Zoom meeting that I will be attending at 3 o'clock. You're more than welcome to come to the county and participate with us, with the Pennsylvania Restaurant and Lodging Association. I also want everybody to understand this, and when you have numbers of people that belong to an organization, you have power. Okay, it's kind of like when Scott's telling me that, when I heard Scott say, well, we'll fight to the death, for them not to take our pensions. Well, let me explain something to you. They outnumber us, okay? There's going to be millions of those people wanting pensions. They will get their way. Same with the industry, the restaurant and bar taverns association. If you don't belong to an association, you have one voice. I spoke to the legislators, and they have one voice. They have one vote. But when you join associations and you become large, it gives you a significant amount of opportunities and a significant amount of power to have those legislators listen to you. So I would urge, and for those that complain, well, it costs X amount of dollars, it doesn't matter what it costs. What it matters is that you have a unified front with a lot of voting members. So I'd like you to reconsider that when you're out there, discussing the issues that you're facing today. Again, today at 3 o'clock, you may come to the county and join the Zoom with me.
So it's interesting that we should talk, especially during the week of Labor Day, about association and about strength in numbers. It's certainly true what you say, Commissioner. It's probably also true for all our workers out there that if they were in a union, they would have more power. I give an example of what life was like in this community in 1960 when you had 10,000 steel workers at Bethlehem Steel unionized, and now where you have the largest employer, which is UPMC, a non-union entity, and certainly what a difference it would make if those 5,000 workers were in a union, what a voice they would have in Harrisburg for health care, what a voice they would have across this state. And I don't single out just UPMC, all the healthcare facilities. We know that healthcare facilities in all 67 counties are the largest employers across Pennsylvania. And many of them are non-union. And quite frankly, when you look at states where they are unionized, not only are the wages higher, but the families and the workers have more input into the policy decisions made in Harrisburg. But that's a good example, and I'm glad you raised it, and the power in numbers. I want to just jump off onto announcement that a parent has asked me to make. It's a program called Fostering Friendship Superstars at the East Lycoming and Williamsport YMCA. This is designed especially for individuals with special needs. Superstars is a movement class where participants can develop motor skills, coordination, stamina, and strength. More importantly, the class is an opportunity to make friends, provide safe environment for self-advocacy, and have fun, a positive attitude. And this is Diana Logan and her exceptional volunteers. Her daughter is going to be speaking at the Joinder to us in next month. And these are with kids and families with kids with special abilities and intellectual disabilities and so forth. It's starting this Saturday from 10 to 10:45 at East Lycoming, and Williamsport it's Wednesday and Friday it's 11 to 11:45. So if you have a situation, it's great. I think all of us have struggled with this pandemic and just both the isolation. I think of our seniors in the nursing homes, and all of us. I mean, we come and go and still come to work and so forth. But people who are working only from home, and so this is an opportunity, the program I just mentioned, and I have a flyer if anyone wants it. Thank you.
Thank you. Also want to add, there's a House Bill 2287 that's being voted on regarding it will allow the schools to have the authority to decide their limit of spectators at sports. It would give the schools the authority instead of the governor. The governor has said if this passes, he's going to veto it. The problem that this is causing is the fact that people are going to come watch your kids play sports. As long as they're going on, they're entitled to that. A kid wants to see his parents, he wants to see his family in the stands. It's not professional sports, it's amateur sports. And they want to have their family there. And these football stadiums are big enough to space out, and people can put masks on, that they can go see their kids. And the schools can pass out so many, maybe 4 tickets, 5 tickets per family. There's a way to do it. To just say no isn't the solution. Because people are going to line up against fences, on top of each other. They're going to sit on the banks, next to each other, and they're going to be even closer together. And it's going to cause congestion. I can think of the football field down in Montoursville. They're going to stand along Mulberry Street. They're going to be 4 or 5 deep. If one of them accidentally steps out in front of a car driving by, which is it's right on top of the street there, they could possibly get hit. There's more of a safety factor because people are going to watch the kids play sports. So instead of the governor saying no, he should let it up to the school districts to decide how to implement it. They've done this with the schools. They're going virtual, a lot of them. They have plans in place. Again, we are not little kids. Allow the voters, allow the taxpayers, the different areas to make a decision whether they're going to play sports, and if they are going to, how they're going to move forward with spectators. There's no reason why we can't do this. And for once again, if the House and the Senate say yes, it shouldn't be up to one person to just say no.
Commissioner, if I could update that bill actually passed the Senate yesterday,
It did.
39-11, so it's gone to the governor, who has said he's going to veto.
Okay.
The vote is.
It did pass.
Both chambers is enough to override a veto if that maintains.
In both chambers.
Both chambers.
Let's
Oh.
hope so.
Good.
Let's hope so.
So the only shout out I want to give to the governor here is that he has kept us from not being in the top 10. Here are the top 10. First is California, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Illinois, New York City, Arizona, New York State, New Jersey, North Carolina, Tennessee, Louisiana, Pennsylvania. So whatever the governor's doing, we may have criticisms of it, but it appears to be doing at least keeping us from being up there, and that's helping keep our economy going too, right? So it's a struggle, but let's look at some positive part of it also, right? We may have opinions about whether it should be done locally or not, and that's But my point is that we shouldn't just dismiss everything that he's done, because he and the Secretary of Health, Rachel Levine, have managed to keep us further down on the list. That's one list we don't want to be in the top of, right, gentlemen?
Any public comment at this time? Hearing none, we are adjourned. We'll have their next meeting Tuesday, September the 15th, here in this room. And Commissioner, we can continue our debate upstairs.